The nightly news.
So we are now live on Facebook. So that's how quick it happens now, Sam.
Wow.
I got a pair of Sams tonight, which is pretty cool. You don't often get two Sams out of four people on one call. And so
At
that's
least not
awesome.
one of them being a bartender, right?
Yeah, that's probably true. But so welcome to everybody out there in the Facebook virtual world. We've got a couple of awesome guests tonight. And they're going to be obviously sharing their thoughts and stuff with us tonight. And I'm trying to get to the other, Facebook is having problems on my end. I mean, I think everybody else is seeing it, but my Facebook is having some issues. I'm trying to get it so that I can write comments to everybody. So if you're out there watching, if you could say hello, I would greatly appreciate that. And if you have questions, Sam and Anita are from the great state of Texas. And so I wore my Nebraska just to be as bold as I could in front of the Texans tonight. And so welcome, Sam and Anita, and great to have you. And I'm gonna probably man the chat box right now. And Sam Musa, you're up, and whatever you guys want to talk about, you're on.
So we're gonna talk about money, of course, and markets, and we have special guests with us to talk about what they see in the future of the market. Definitely experts in real estate investing, but also in creative financing and understanding money. Really interested to see what their views are and how their decisions are being affected by what's currently happening and what they believe the future is going to hold. Just a quick update on some of the things in the news that I think are interesting, at least for me. First off, inflation numbers came in 4.2%, I believe, from a year ago, which is a relatively high spike, claiming that the impact we saw airline tickets going up by roughly 10%, car sales going up, fuel costs going up relatively the same amount. And there was a great concern in the market. The market took a dive today. The Dow dropped almost 700 points for the day. S&P, NASDAQ also took a dive, actually more than the Dow did. The NASDAQ did, so tech got hit hard. And the other thing that I thought was interesting, we'll come back to the inflation. The other thing I thought was interesting is Tesla announced that they will no longer be accepting cryptocurrency for the purchase of their vehicles, even though they're heavily invested in cryptocurrency. The claim that came out, the tweet that came out from Elon Musk felt, the expression was that they felt that the currency was using fossil fuels as part of the energy to create cryptocurrency. And this was taxing the environment far too great for them to support. So we saw cryptocurrency drop 10% after that announcement, which is pretty big. I mean, it was mid 50,000s. I saw it touch 50. So we'll see what happens with that. The other cryptocurrencies also saw a little bit of dive, not as much as Bitcoin. So some interesting things. The one thing I thought that was interesting about cryptocurrency, just because people believe it to be something that we can use in the future, which is possible and likely. And I would argue that most currencies are cryptocurrencies anyways, in the sense that they're digital currencies. Not the same structure as cryptocurrency because of blockchain technology, which is very interesting and lots of uses beyond a currency. But the dilemma is for cryptocurrency is the fluctuations. Nobody wants to have 20 crypto dollars and walk to the mall and find out their $20 is worth $10. Now, it's great when you walk to the mall and your $20 is worth $30, but if it drops $10 in the span of going from one place to the next, that would be a serious challenge. So there's some big hurdles that cryptocurrency in its circulation and use is going to have to overcome. Time will tell that story. The other thing about inflation rising, one of the references was 1981. Seeing a jump like that has not been seen since 1981, which if you know anything about inflation history, 1981 was the spike, hyperinflation in the United States and Canada, around the world really, but the United States and Canada, highest inflation rates ever seen at the time. So mortgages, just to give you an example, mortgages in Canada were 21% plus 21%. Leaving the US, Pip, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody actually, any of you folks, Anita, Sam, I think it was 18%, was somewhere around 18, 19% was the mortgage rates at the time. It was brief, but long enough to recognize there was a serious problem. So there's some concerns about it. Yeah.
I do know, Sam, that in some areas that mortgage rates actually toppled 20% back in that day, and it's interesting what you say about hyperinflation. I can remember 2 years ago, in 2019, Sam and we were at a 2-week long investor meeting, and there were some really, really high level, like celebrity level investors there at that meeting, as well as several economists. And one of the economists and financial contributors, if you would, that was there, is someone that we see on TV quite frequently. If you watch any of the financial news, is Peter Schiff. And Peter actually said back in 2019 that there will be a situation that is going to cause hyperinflation. It's going to cause deflation of the dollar. He talked about that in great details, charts, graphs, everything back in 2019. In addition to blockchain, it's not that there's some people that think that, hey, we're going to end up going to a digital dollar of some sort. Some people say that it'll never happen, but in the reality of things, I mean, as sitting as the president of the board of directors at a financial institution, I'll try to track with what is going on somewhat. And the Fed's actually already voted on and passed to move to a digital dollar in the future. So it doesn't, no one knows what that digital dollar is going to be. Is it going to be an existing cryptocurrency? Is it going to end up being a newly created dollar, like a US digital dollar, of some sort? No one really knows the answer to that right now, but I can bet you that Elon's playing the game, right? He's playing the game. He's heavily vested in cryptos, and he's playing the game. He's got some insight to what's going on there.
Yeah, definitely. They're heavily invested, and we're big supporters for the last several years, actually, and heavily invested more recently. So yeah, I think that the writing's on the wall. We've been converting to most currency right now is digital anyways, versus paper money. So we're seeing that what that will look like in the future is difficult to say. I would say that I was happy to see the inflation number where it was. I think that spoke to the reality that the consumer is still alive in the US. They are spending money, which is excellent. The bigger concern I had coming into the pandemic and seeing what the United States was doing in the way of helicopter money, putting money into the system, was that there would be a concern and fear and hoarding of capital, which could create deflation. So I thought it was a good thing to see the inflation number there, that people were spending money and consuming. Obviously, that's going to create an impact. You don't want hyperinflation. Definitely don't want hyperinflation. But at the same time, I would take inflation over deflation any day, just because that's a shift in behavior and consumer mentality. So yeah. I thought it was good that the number was higher than expected. I think that was a reality, that the money being put into the system was being used. Now, what's that going to do for investing? Well, we know the stock market didn't like that number. It took, like I said, a nosedive today, and real estate. I think real estate will follow. Real estate's more lethargic though than the stock market. I mean, it doesn't shift. If the currency moves, even a penny or so, a few pennies, which is quite substantial when you think of it as relative to a percentage, you're going to see the market somewhat react to that. Versus real estate, which might absorb that over the next 6 months or a year. By that time, the currency could be at the same value. So it's a much more lethargic, slower moving asset class, which is a huge advantage if you understand the advantages of that, slower moving. So there's going to be huge opportunities in the stock market and real estate, either or. I'm more interested in asking both of you, Sam and Anita, what you feel the market is doing now. What's your picture of the market now, and what do you think that's going to mean for the future with this information as we're gaining a better insight on what's happening here and now, what kind of decisions are being made or contemplated because of what we're seeing now.
Well, I would say this as far as one of the things that you mentioned talking about the helicopter money that's coming into the market.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple things about the helicopter money. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people is stimulating the movement of money. But one of the things that we have seen from a financial institution perspective is there's a lot of people that are sticking that money into savings and sitting on it. The lenders and financial institutions, their assets are actually going up. And what I say is an asset to us, right? What we would look at as an asset is going up. To the lender, it's a liability. Okay.
There is, yeah.
To the lender, having that extra cash sitting around on their books is a liability. So what does that mean for us as investors? That means that there are lenders out there that need to lend more money to balance out their books. Okay. So it may be, you might see, say, for instance, like a community bank or community credit union running a promotion that maybe they're offering really great deals on mortgages, or they're offering really great deals on car loans, right? It's because they've got all this extra money sitting on the books because people are putting in a savings account and they need to lend it out. If they don't lend it out quick enough, then they run into issues with how their ratios and their numbers work out. And the auditors would not be happy with them on that, just to put it in very simple terms. So I think that's a benefit. So what are we doing right now? Sam, what did we do last week?
Oh, we're buying like crazy. So
yeah, the
no matter
lenders
what
are.
happens in the marketplace, people are going to need a place to lay their head. And if you can provide that, you have
So
to be
we
careful
are.
with the market, what the market's doing. You still want to buy right, but I wouldn't sit back and not buy anything. You still go out there and buy the property.
So one of the things that we're focusing on buying, because of all the first in the market, if you will, with the economy the way it is, the fallout from COVID, what is still yet to fall out from COVID, what we're doing is whenever we're purchasing investment properties is we're staying in the category of investment properties where it's working class, your upper blue collar working class, the segment of the market to where the majority of those folks typically has to rent regardless of what the economy's doing. And how do we fire test that? We make sure that, hey, if we're going to buy this property deal, do we have multiple ways to exit? So is there a chance that maybe if it's 3 years down the road, if we want to turn around and sell it, could we sell it and we could still make money with it? But above all else, the fire test is what's the demand and will it cash flow on Section 8 rents? If it will cash flow well on Section 8 rents, then hey, we're golden. We're golden, because if the economy crashes, there's going to be more people on public assistance needing housing, right? If the economy goes up, then we still got a good rental that still has the opportunity to increase the rents on it, as well as have the opportunity for appreciation. Where I think that the market is going to take the biggest hit at, as far as the real estate market goes, is on your higher end properties. The folks that's going in and they're buying brand new properties or really new properties that's servicing the upper middle class. I think that those people are going to lose their butts whenever everything hits. I think that they will lose their butts, but I do think it's going to be a few years before we start seeing a lot of the fallout from what's going on.
I'm going to jump in here just real quick because I'm getting lots of questions because we got Canadians on here. And when we said Section 8, it just right over some heads. And that's okay. There's not a program they have in Canada. Section 8 in the United States is usually lower income, subsidized government housing or government subsidized housing. So you own the property as the investor, and the government gives the client a amount of money every month to live in your property. And so you get a good portion of your rent generally from government sponsored money. So if you're charging $1,000, maybe 800 of it's coming from Section 8. And every state's got some variations. But one of the things, and I'm going to jump on that Anita said, is even in the pandemic, we've had some situations as property owners where our tenants weren't paying. They didn't have to pay. And in some instances didn't have to even pay mortgages. We didn't have to pay mortgages because the banks were eating that. And there's been some of that forbearance stuff going on. But Section 8, in the pandemic, the government was paying was paying that amount every month. And Anita's 1,000,000% right, in my opinion. Even in a down market, more people are going to be on public housing. So yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I got a lot of questions on Section 8. I was going to try to type it to seven different people here, but I thought I'd just say it once. So that's what Section 8 is to all my Canadians.
Yeah, in Canada, we do have government subsidized housing. It's not quite structured the same way with the backing, the direct relationship with the government and the owner of the property. So it's not as streamlined where the government's directly paying you. There is obviously municipal and provincial and support for people. We call it it's just welfare, or it could be under disability, which is often they find people struggling to find themselves on that, where they get paid by the municipality and then they pay rent, or you can request. I have property like that where you can request the payment goes directly to you. But the guarantees that you enjoy in the United States are not the same in Canada, where you're guaranteed that from the municipality that no matter what, you're going to get paid, which is very nice. So there's a high attrition, high cost to vacancy in those areas. So it's difficult. It's more difficult and tedious, I think, to do it. The strategy, though, you mentioned, I think is wonderful and interesting, that you're making sure that the housing that you're selecting can be converted and would be used in a Section 8 environment where the economy was struggling. I think is a wonderful insight to planning ahead. Whereas what you said about the properties that are more expensive, they're not going to be zoned. Not going to be classified as a Section 8 opportunity. So its exit or its bottom is much more suspect in a downward economy. So I think that's wonderful that you're thinking about the possibility and recognizing that may happen. That's something that may happen in those regions, in those areas. So great plan to take advantage of that. I'm wondering if I could ask you a little bit about what would classify that. I recognize you're looking at middle class, upper middle class. What areas are you looking? Because clearly there's been a spike in real estate prices, some very hot markets. Lower interest rates have allowed house prices to climb substantially, allowing the buyer to afford the same mortgage they would have afforded with the higher interest rate. Now they can afford to buy, pay for more house. They're not really getting more house. They're paying for more house. What areas are you looking at, if you don't mind? Where do you see opportunities in the country?
Sam, I'll let you take that one.
Well, y'all are gonna figure out real quick. Anita's the brains behind this operation. But we do a lot of our business outside of the metropolitan areas. So we step out a little bit, and most of our stuff is 2 hours more out of the metropolitan area. In Dallas and Austin and Houston, there's just way too much activity going on, bidding wars and stuff, and we try to get away from that and work in the smaller rural areas.
What kind of cap rates are you seeing out there in those properties that are outside the metropolitan area?
Probably right now, 5 to 7%.
Okay. Before you do any creativity to it, just standard, it's about 6%. That's pretty good. So we have some people I'm more familiar with cap rates, capitalization rate. That's the yield you would get or the return you would get on a property if you paid cash. So these properties, if we paid $100,000 for these properties, net yield, net cash flow after we pay taxes, insurance, price of ownership would be 6,000, 6% if it was at 6. Now in a metropolitan area, I'm assuming that the metropolitan areas that you guys are talking about, the cap rates are closer to 3 in the metropolitan areas. Does that sound fair? Around 3?
Yeah, I'd say 3, 4.
Okay. All right. So you're gaining about 2, maybe 2 or 3% going just outside that region is giving you an extra 2, 3% before you do your creativity and get that cap rate higher, I'm sure, as you guys are really, really good at the creative financing end of it. Okay. So you're looking at those properties, and those properties, if we drill down a little bit further, so we're looking outside the area, getting a better cap rate in those neighborhoods. You said you're looking for blue collar, upper blue collar income rates. And these are areas, very interesting. These are areas that could be classified, if need be, into Section 8. What constitutes that belief or that confidence that those areas would be or could be pushed to a Section 8, if needed?
We just call the local housing authority office, and we find out, do they have a wait list? And in these areas, they have a wait list, and they have a history for many, many years of having a wait list of people in need of that type of housing. And they also will give you they'll share the pricing structure. So basically, if it's say a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, you get X number of dollars a month is the maximum they'll allow for rents. Anything over that would have to be paid out of the individual's pocket. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath, so on and so forth. So they'll actually tell you, hey, we have a great need for more housing. We have this many people on wait lists to receive vouchers for housing. And here's what the rates are that we are willing to pay. And anything over what they cap it at is the responsibility of the tenant. So we've actually, we have a duplex in a city called Longview, Texas, in East Texas. It's probably the one that's in the biggest town. It's about 100,000 people. Longview, Texas is. And one side of the duplex is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. The other side of the duplex is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And we were noticing we had tenants there for quite some time. And once they moved out, we kept having a lot of turnover with that particular duplex. And I told Sam, I said, tell the property manager, put Section 8 tenants in it. That'll stop that. Because once they get in a place, they tend to stay. And also the housing authority, they will revoke their voucher if you report them for tearing up your house. So used to a long time ago, people would say, oh, I don't want to rent to those type of renters. They'll tear your place up. But the truth of the matter is they will actually lose their voucher and they can't get it back. So a lot of situations in basically that demographic, where maybe they're not so inclined to take care of things like a house because it's not their house.
Sure.
Now they got a motivation to take care of your place because they don't want to lose the free housing. It's free to them, right? They don't want to lose that free housing. So that's a big benefit too. But yeah, you could actually, some of the housing authorities, you can actually go to their website and they'll post what they'll pay.
Awesome. And the conversion or reclassification of a Section 8, the process for that, is that something that's difficult to do? Is it something, how difficult is it to say, look, this is going to be now Section 8 eligible? My property is open to Section 8 housing. How difficult is that?
It's not difficult at all. You just call them and tell them you want to add the property. And once you're an approved landlord, you just tell them you want to add a property. They'll send an inspector out. You may have to add a second deadbolt to it, or add smoke alarms, or they'll just do a little inspection, and usually it's real simple, and then you're on the list.
Is it required in that so that particular region? I don't know if it's a county or a city, or it's a city that you said that the reference that you referenced. Do you need to be registered as a landlord? Do you need any sort of certification, registration? Some places I know that require that. Is that something that needs to be done?
That is depending upon the county. And some counties might require a half-day class to go through, and some counties won't require anything.
Oh, it's very cool. It doesn't sound very difficult. Very
No.
difficult. That sounded like a wise move too, recognizing the turnover. I mean, that was an easy solution. Seemed like an easy solution, right?
Yeah.
To do that. And how long ago was that you did that, Anita?
How long ago was it that we
The-
started?
Yeah, that you switched it over and you put Section 8 housing, Section 8 tenants in that property.
We've actually always had it, I guess for the last 3-4 years, we've had some Section 8 tenants. We've had, up to 3-4 whenever we first started taking Section 8 tenants. But we've gotten in the stance to where we don't care if it's Section 8 or if it's just a regular tenant. It doesn't make us any difference, either way.
Mhm.
We actually had one tenant that where we were having turnover in that duplex that wanted the 4-bedroom, 2-bath side of the duplex. And part of the responsibility of the tenant is taking care of the yard. Well, she didn't have the ability nor the equipment to take care of the yard. So we added that into her rent, and her voucher actually, Sam, I think on that one, it covers 100% of her rent, doesn't it?
No, she's got a small portion of it.
So she probably pays what, $100-$200 a month at the most.
But it did recognize the additional cost of taking care of the property that you were talking about, right? That they gave you a little extra for that.
No, they don't. The voucher, since it was a 4-bedroom, I think would allow them up to like $1,300 or $1,350 per month for a 4-bedroom. So we would typically rent that unit for $950, $1,000 a month. And so we just bumped it up, and so we're maximizing our voucher, and we're taking care of the yard for her, having someone go out and mow the yard for her. We just wrote it into the lease, and that's really all that the housing authority cares about is, is she getting what is included in her lease? So we just write it in the lease that yard care is included.
Right. So you have property in areas where the market rent is lower than the eligibility of the Section 8 rent.
Yes.
Oh,
That's in most of our areas.
yeah, that's amazing. That's crazy. Wow. And how often does it go down, or does it just keep going up because of inflation? They bump it up 1.5 or 2 points a year. It just keeps going up. So the market rent could be that's substantial. I mean, that's huge. We're talking about $300-$400. We're talking about 30-40% increase off the market rent. That's amazing. Wow. That sounds like a great strategy.
We'll literally advertise when we're marketing for, marketing properties. We'll literally put Section 8 welcome on the ad for the rental property. Section 8 welcome, because awesome. In most of our properties, we can get more money with Section 8 than market rent.
Wow, that's amazing. So let me ask you a little bit about property and how you approach property in the way of debt. That's a common topic for us. We talk about debt quite a bit. What's your feeling on leverage on those types of properties or any properties? What do you feel like when you're coming into properties? Is there a mark that you like to be at in leverage? Is it fluctuate deal to deal? Do you ever go 100%? What's your strategy when you approach properties like that?
Do we ever go 100%, Sam?
Yes. Do you? I mean, you know what? Yeah, I don't. I know you know what I think. I think they all should be 100%. Is my view. I don't think the property is the asset at all. I think the ability for the investor to put a structure together is really the advantage. And property investing, to me, the least appealing part is the property. It's the money part that's interesting to me, and the ability to take a low cost, low return, low yield, and turn it into something bigger, like we were talking about, Sam, with cap rates, right? You can take that smaller cap rate, make it to a much larger cap rate with leverage, without increasing your risk profile, actually reducing the risk profile. So how do you guys feel about, because we were talking to some people a couple shows ago about that, and they use leverage, but there are some limits. We were talking to another gentleman who wants to use his own cash, all his own cash. when he does. He's a builder, he likes to use his own cash. What are your thoughts on debt and how you use it and how you approach it? Not that there's a wrong or right answer. Just what do you typically do, and why would be wonderful to know.
It is a game for us, and we play that game very well. So I won't say every, 99% of the deals we do are 100% plus finance. and we learned that early on, and I'm a firm believer in it. If you want to eliminate your job, if you want to create second income, if you want to do this, you want to do that, I don't care how much money you got, but if you want to create cash flow, and most people want to eliminate their corporate job, their day-to-day, you don't have enough money to do that unless you learn how to leverage.
That's awesome.
If you're not using your own money, how many properties can you buy?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's unlimited. And Anita, do you typically, when property does, do you typically, as your equity positions increase, do you have the tendency to take that equity out as soon as you can? Is that the approach, Anita?
Absolutely, we do. We take that equity out, we go and we reinvest it. And actually, folks say, well, if you're doing 100% of your financing on the deals that you do, then what are you doing with the money you're making? Okay. Well, we turn around, we do things like private money lending, where we're getting 15% return on short-term loans. We turn around, we do projects like the project in Belize, where we've got vacation rentals in Belize. We do those types of projects. But as far as continue to build a portfolio, we just wash, rinse, repeat. So we typically will buy a house, and the key to it, guys, is make sure you run your numbers. You don't want to over leverage yourself. That's not smart. But make sure you run your numbers. If you truly got a property deal and it's a deal, then you can run your numbers and you can see, okay, well, I'm buying the house at this price point here. It needs a little bit of repair done to it, so I can buy it here, and the little bit of repair is going to push the appreciation, the value of the house, and the bank will loan me 80% of the after repair value. So I'll go ahead and take the 80% now, buy the house, pay the closing costs, do the repairs, put a renter in it, right? And then I got a nice little cash flow property that I have no money involved in. I'm making money, for a lack of better terms, making money out of thin air. But it's really not out of thin air. It's using your brain.
That's right.
And what's between the 6 inches between your ears, to be able to know what to do and learn that process.
And I want to make a point here. Anita's is well versed in banking. Like she said, she's part of a representative of a banking institution on the board, understands banking extensively, and will tell you that this is exactly how the banks work. I mean, the banks don't make money unless they lend. They're buyers and sellers of debt. That's what banks do. They buy and sell debt. The depositors are debtors to the bank. They take that money, they pull it back, and they lend it right back to you. They lend it right back to you at an interest rate. And this is how they make money. And as Anita said at the beginning, which was very important, if they don't want the capital just sitting there, those savers with the money sitting there, it's useless to them. They need to put it out there and lend it. It's not good for their balance sheet, as Anita said. So this is someone who really, really understands banking, being immersed in it, and understands it. And this is someone who's saying, look, there's opportunity, or the maximum opportunity, as Sam was saying, was the financing, and it is a game, absolutely a game. That you can win or lose at based on your understanding of creative financing. I think it's wonderful. That's awesome, and it's a great message. And I think you said something very interesting too about buying right. Sam said that, actually making sure you buying right, but you're saying run your numbers, make sure it makes sense, and taking advantage of that capital and reusing it, reinvesting. Of course, taking some of the money and living well, like you both are, I'm sure, and you're enjoying life, and that's part of it. That's the whole reason, really, that we want it. We want to build that capital so we can build a legacy and really quality of life. So that's awesome, and I know that both of you are extremely successful in those areas. I love that you're comfortable with and continue to pursue the opportunity to absorb more debt. more debt, the better. And I think that's a great message to people when you're doing it right, And you said something important. If you could expand a little bit on it, when you say being over leveraged. Can you just expand a little bit on what you recognize or what you see as over leveraged?
Sure. So like with being over leveraged, what I mean by that is make sure that the property is still going to cash flow, because you're going to have your debt servicing on the property whenever you take out the mortgage loan against it, right? So you want to make sure that you're accounting for your mortgage and all of your normal costs, your property management, budgeting for your repairs, future repairs and things like that. You want to make sure that you're being smart about it, and that you're actually calculating your actual cost of owning the property. And once you subtract all that out, if you're still at a nice little fat chunk of cash flow coming in every month, then you're golden.
Right.
Leverage the heck out of it as long as it makes sense, and you're still getting a nice chunk of cash flow.
Right.
But Sam, you did say something that I wanted to elaborate on a little bit, and it kind of ties back into what you were talking about earlier with inflation. Why the heck would you want to leave money sitting in the bank? The inflation rate on average over the past years, inflation rate's been around 2%. Now we're looking at 4.2. If your money's sitting in the bank, it's paying about 0.5% interest. If you got a really great bank that's trying to get deposits in, whenever they run those promos for CD rates and things like that, it's because they need more money coming in so they can lend more money out, right? But you end up with 0.5%, 1%, what have you, on your money sitting in the bank. So it's like death on your money. Because if you've got an inflation rate of 4.2%, you got money that's sitting in the bank and it's only making 0.5% or 1%, you're losing money by leaving your money in the bank. Go get it in an instrument that you can make some cash flow with. It's going to help you improve your way of life.
It might be safe.
Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
You what, Sam?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying your money might be safe sitting there, but you're safely losing it.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, you can be safe. It's going to die a slow, painful death. I think that the others, not even the other side, in echoing what you're saying, you can actually make money on inflation by being the borrower, right? The borrower makes money on inflation, right? Because the dollars they're paying back are worth less than the dollars they took initially, which is wonderful when you're getting the mortgage rates where they are, which typically we see mortgage rates above inflation, but markets shift and change. And if you're borrowing money at the bank rate, a mortgage rate, and you're paying it back over time, you're in most cases you're getting the money for free. Because if the mortgage rate's 3%, inflation's 3%, I mean, you're getting the money for free. Why would you ever want to pay? Why would you want to pay that off? Why would you ever want to pay a mortgage off? It's awesome to recognize the advantages of money and how to use it as a tool to build something up. And you guys have done a wonderful job of building a great portfolio and continue to do that. We were on a different call. You were talking about 5 properties that you were just in the midst of closing. A few of them already closed. You were closing the one or two the next day. That's wonderful. I mean, this is awesome, and it shows that when you understand money, you can accelerate the pace, definitely. And you guys are moving at light speed. Pipper, did you want to add something? You look like you're.
Oh no, I got lots of things. First of all, just make sure Sam and Anita, you guys go through the chat, because a lot of people are saying hello to you. So that's cool. Some people you probably haven't seen in a while with the pandemic and all that stuff going on. So make sure you say hello. I'm trying to say hello for you, but it's not coming from you. It's coming from me. But the other thing, I mean, I just, with Sam and Anita, they walk the walk, they talk the talk, but they started in a really bad scenario. I mean, when they'll tell you, if they're 10 years ago, they were in debt up to their eyeballs. That was really bad debt that they couldn't get out of in a traditional fashion, losing jobs and things like that. And so it's not an easy road. So the nice part about Sam and Anita, they've actually been at the bottom and now they're at the top. And they've got a couple things I'm going to shout them out for here. And if anybody wants their contact, you just let me know and I'll send it to you. Some of you guys have asked me that. I'm also going to say this. They live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm answering questions as I go on, as I'm talking here. They live in the DFW area, as I would say, but as the Canadian DFW area, they would say up there. What I find interesting, I feel like I'm in the middle because we got the processors up there in Canada, and then we got Anita doing dills down there in Texas. And I got to tell this story because you could put a face to the name here. Anita and I were doing a class in Kansas City, my area of all places. And when Anita gets going, everything's a dill. I got a dill for this and a dill for that and a dill for this. On Sunday, a lady brought Anita a huge thing of dill pickles in and said, "You'll never be out of dills now." And so it's quite funny because I always give Anita grief for that. But anyway, these guys are at the bottom. Now they're obviously doing a lot of cool things. They closed on 6 properties within the last week. So they're very good investors at what they do. But what I want to shout them out for is these guys do stuff in foreign countries. They've got a big development in Belize. Talk to them about it. There's a lot of opportunities there if you want to invest in other countries. And on top of that, these guys also now, I was talking to Anita this week about it, actually, about some money lending. Anita's also the president of is it a community credit union or community bank? Anita, I forget.
It's the president of the board of directors for a community credit union.
I said president of the bank, president of the board of directors. I know what I meant to say. And so it was funny because Anita will tell you the story, and I know she won't brag, but I'll brag on them, is, they were borrowing all this money and using community banks. And they finally said, "Well, you know more than most of the people here. Why don't you, I would love to have you on the board of directors." Now she's the president of the board of directors. And so, yeah, I mean, these guys, and what's cool for us is just even be associated with people like Anita and Sam. And so, yeah, it's cool. But yeah, I just wanted to brag on him a little bit because I kind of like him. Well, I like Anita, Sam not as much, but you know what are you gonna do?
I'll be just like you when I grow up, Pip.
I keep hearing that. Yeah. I don't know that you're that much younger, but when you grow up, you're gonna be just like me. That's good. So
I like the way Sam uses typically the fewest number of words to say what needs to be said. I like that. That it's clear, it's concise. You don't have to. I mean, that's awesome.
He does not waste words.
I like that. It might be tough in a conversation 1 or 2 times when you're trying to, hey, what's going on? Nothing much. That'll be the end of the conversation. Okay. You guys are great. I love you guys. You guys are so real about and committed to the approach of investing. And I love that you embrace debt. I love the history of the banking and being involved with the banks and recognizing the opportunity. It's just a great testament to what can be achieved when you understand money, and you definitely both understand money on the highest level. So wonderful stuff. What do you feel about the future? What do you think is going to happen, if anything, or is that future affecting your decisions now, beyond in the next, say, 5 or a decade from now? What are you seeing happening to the real estate market with all the chaos and organized order that we're seeing today?
Well, I would say what we're seeing right now in the market, it is chaos because it's such a feeding frenzy. People fighting over houses and, running the price up on properties. There's a property that we're also licensed real estate agent. We listed a house for an investor friend of ours, and listed the house for $585,000, and it's under contract now for $625,000.
Wow.
So that's, we're seeing a lot of things like that in the market. We've got a fix and flip here in the DFW area that whenever we bought the house in October and did a lease back to the sellers that we were purchasing from. And we purchased the house for $260, and let's see, we purchased it for $260. The after repair value appraisal at the time was come in the mid 330s, and then they lived in it for a few months. We got in there. It was a nice, quick and easy little rehab, put it on the market, and for well above, the house had actually appreciated quite a bit from what the appraiser thought it would be worth. But a few months had lapsed. And so the price just kept jumping up, jumping up, jumping up. And now it's under contract for $20,000 over our ask price. No contingency, no repairs.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, it's crazy. Do I think we'll continue to see that? I do not. I think that we'll continue to see it for a while, but at some point it has to cool off. Right. At some point it has to cool off. I listen a lot to people who know a lot more than I do, and they get around people like the head economist for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and economist for JP Morgan Chase. And I've sat in on some webinars and things that where they've shared information. And basically from what I'm hearing, that whenever all these forbearances that is currently in place, people with their mortgage, for the forbearance and the mortgages, not realizing, a lot of them don't realize that they're going to have to pay it back in a lump sum and whenever that period is up. What do I think based off of what I've experienced being in the mortgage servicing business? I think that whenever there starts to be a strain, the public starts screaming because they're hurting, then the government's going to kick the can down the road. Okay, they're going to kick the can down the road for a little bit. And then once they kick the can down the road for so long, there's going to be a point in time they have to cut that off. And I really think whether the prices are able to come back down or not, it's going to depend on where we're at. If we're in an extreme state of hyperinflation, I think the prices will stay up, even if the inventory swings in the other direction. I think we're still going to see higher prices in properties.
Okay. And I think it's wonderful that you're taking advantage, both of you are taking advantage of the market and being sellers too. It's not just about buying and acquiring. We were talking initially about going out there and finding opportunities and getting properties. As Pip mentioned, 5 or 6 properties, 6 I think you mentioned that you recently acquired. You're also looking at the opportunity to sell and take advantage of the market spike. I think that's wonderful that you're recognizing that there is markets. It's definitely a seller's market for retail, and when you're able to capitalize on that, you definitely want to take advantage. So when you're talking about, actually, let me ask you, Sam, what your thoughts are about the future of the market. What do you think is going to happen in real estate, say in the next 5 or 10 years?
I think people are going to, there's still going to be opportunities out there. They just not be, I think this is where the creativity is going to come into play. You're going to have a lot more lease options, maybe owner finances, that kind of thing. So you're going to have to know how to play the game when it comes to that point. So I don't think the opportunities will never stop, but how you acquire them and how you get rid of them is going to become very important. So.
Anita, you mentioned about the possibility of hyperinflation, which is a real threat. Do you think that in the short, in the next, say, 24 to 60 months, we're going to see mortgage rates go up? Is that what your sense is, your feeling is about mortgage rates?
I do feel that mortgage rates will go up. I think, how do I say this without getting political? I think had we been on basically the path pre-COVID, as far as the direction where a lot of the economy, the growth in the economy and things was, I think that if we were still on that track, that the mortgage rates would probably still remain somewhat low. I don't think they're going to jump up right away though. Okay. I don't think we're going to see a spike in mortgage rates right away. I think it's going to be smaller increments. It's going to be, a quarter here, an eighth there. I would doubt that we'd even see a jump that is a half a point at a time.
Right.
I think it's going to be more of a quarter here, an eighth there. Do I think we'll get back to what we've seen in the 1980s? I doubt it. I doubt it. Might we get back to where we were, say, 10, 15 years ago, where non-owner occupied houses are fetching rates of, say, 6.5% to 7.5%? I absolutely would not be surprised if we don't see that sometime in the next several years. Right. I don't think it's going to come quickly though. And of course everything's subject to change.
Sure. I mean, the interest rates going up rapidly is going to affect the mortgage payments. I mean, your mortgage payment's going to drastically change if we saw a whole point move would be, even over time, would be substantial. And I agree with you. No big jumps. The market can't take it, to those big jumps. So it'll be interesting to see how the mortgage rates going up. If what the government does in response. Do you think that the government, to both of you, do you think the government's going to possibly change some of the policies of subsidizing the down payment, maybe asking for less down? Do you think amortizations are going to stretch out? What do you think the government's going to do or could do in the wake of higher interest rates and the market cooling off?
Good question. Who knows what they're going to pull out of their hat? I think that I would not be surprised if we don't see a 40-year mortgage become something common.
Right.
Okay. As this all plays out. And again, probably not something that's going to materialize right away. The 40-year mortgage has been in existence for a while. It's not commonly used. However, I do believe that, it could be something that we could possibly see in, say, 3 years, 5 years down the road is a 40-year mortgage.
Right. Reducing the initial cost for the buyer, monthly payment stuff. I agree with you. That's probably one of the tools they'll consider for sure to deal with rising prices. Sam, what do you think? You think they'll do anything in that area, or even make changes to the requirements, maybe even the requirements like we got into trouble in the first time in the first part of the decade of the century, where we were looking at subprime borrowing? Do you think that we're at risk at looking at some changes there that might put us in the same compromising position? Do you think that's possible, Sam?
I think so. I think my thoughts is I think the government's going to pull back a little bit and take away some of the assistance to get into properties. And I mean, they've been helping quite a bit, and there's been lots of refis and purchases and stuff going on. I think that, I think we're going to hit a bubble, and I think that they're going to pull back. I think that's going to leave more opportunities for rental property and lease options and stuff like that. But my thoughts is they're going to pull back on the assistance.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you seeing lots of refinances, Anita? And are you seeing people take that new equity and borrowing it? I know you initially said that you're seeing a lot of that helicopter money, the money coming from the government to individuals. They're saving and hoarding it a little bit. Are you seeing a move in refis? People taking that capital out yet?
We have seen a move in that. Actually, the refi market was extremely hot up until probably about a month or month and a half, 2 months ago. It started to cool off quite a bit. And I've heard this, not only from what we've seen personally, but from other sources as well. One of our best friends is like an operations manager for a big mortgage company. Our neighbor 3 houses down is an appraiser. And it's just like all of a sudden that somebody turned off the faucet. It's like the faucet was flowing with refis, and then all of a sudden somebody just turned the faucet off, and now it's just primarily more people going back to the purchases. Now, personally, I think that that's kind of silly because the interest rate ticked up just a bit, and now everybody stops refining their houses. Right. They're still at record lows, people. It's like, let's get a clue. It's not like the rates jumped back up to 5 or 6%. So I do think that I still think it's an excellent time to refi and strip out equity and go and reinvest that money into another cash flow producing asset.
Sure.
But the refi market was booming, and it has slowed within the last couple of months.
It's funny to see the reaction to the general public about small moves, like quarter point moves, and this idea that somehow it's too expensive, with the increase of the quarter point, which is insanity. Sometimes we'll see signs, we see billboards that say, come get a line of credit for us. We charge, 2.5%, where someone else is, and this is secured money, right? 2.5%. Somebody else was paying 3%, and they'll switch banks for 0.5%. And what's funny is the people that switch banks for 0.5% never use the line of credit. It's always the people that don't use a lot of credit that try to shave a quarter point or a half point. You're not even using it. Whereas, a seasoned investor, they recognize obviously the cost savings of that half point or a quarter point or even a point, but it's less motivating more than the relationship you build with the institution and the relationships you have. You're not just chasing a quarter point here and there. Pep, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, we're getting close to that hour time frame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all good. And I mean, we could talk for 10 hours here. And I would like to obviously tell Sam and Anita they're welcome on here anytime.
Please.
Yeah. And I want to just hear Sam talk a little bit slower next time he's here, if possible. That's what I'm looking to do.
Don't listen to him, bro. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Sexy ones.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'll tell you when you talk, I lead in. What's he gonna say next?
I do. Every time you talk, I'm like,
Yeah, what do you say?
this is gonna be good.
No, you guys are awesome. You excellent insight. Wonderful to better understand what you're doing. I think some of the huge points that you shared was really recognizing, and you said that, Anita, you run the numbers as Section 8, even though it's not initially what we're looking at, but we're going to run it as Section 8, see what happens. I mean, if it falls apart, we're still going to make. Is it excellent foresight and really recognizing the possibility of shifts in the market in the future, really preparing yourself for a reasonable exit or in managing the ownership of that property. So that was a wonderful and huge point. And the both of you talking about financing and going that 100%, I think is awesome and wonderful, and continuing to do that. You were saying, Sam, that the overwhelming majority of your properties are 100% financed, and how you were saying that you continue to strip the money out of you. That was a continuous theme, that you recognize the opportunity of that and reinvesting it. Those are all huge points. I think more people need to get comfortable with that. The one thing before I forget, it was wonderful that you explained being over leveraged. You didn't mean, and that was great you said, it wasn't that you had too much debt, it's that the debt was unserviceable, right? Based on the numbers, right? It wasn't that, you have too much debt, you want more debt, but you got to make sure that debt is manageable. Like you said, if there's a chunk of change, a nice substantial chunk of change, then it's good to go. I think is wonderful, because often people hear being over leveraged meaning having too much debt and or percentage of debt. I think explaining that was great for everyone, that it really doesn't matter. Really, it's a numbers game. As you said, Sam, it's a game. You play the game and you make money. Those are awesome points. Definitely want you to come back and share some more. I know that's just a little piece, a sliver of what you guys can offer people and give them a better understanding of it. You're extremely active investors and in all areas, not just real estate, in money and lending and just money, period, I think is a wonderful conversation that people need to hear more about. So it's been great having you both. Any final thoughts about, if there's 1, 2, or 3 things that someone should be thinking about now when they're looking at as a real estate investor, or just points about money, what would you say that, 1 or 2 most important things to consider now?
I would say never be scared of the leverage. Sam and I have done some private money lending for several years. My background's in banking and lending, and we expanded our lending company earlier this year to where we can offer all different types of commercial lending. And with that said, there are so many tools out there available for folks to be able to use to be able to grow their business, right? And add more assets and create more cash flow coming in. So don't be scared of the leverage. Just make sure that you're doing it well, right? Make sure you're doing it well. And that's the reason why you guys, and the whole team at Pip's Path is so unique. If somebody's like, is this really going to, is this really the way this is supposed to work? Am I missing something? You always got somebody you can run it past.
Right. That's awesome. And Sam?
Yeah. So I don't want people to get confused when I say 100% financing. We're not paying 100% of the retail value. We're just financing 100% of our purchase price. So,
that's good. Good point.
Yeah.
Still looking for the discounts, still looking for the opportunity. And what would you tell a new investor to really think about? What's the opportunity? Because you kept on talking about, and you strongly believe there's always opportunity. What would you say about opportunity for the new investor? Where is it?
I would say get out there and do it. You know, last night we talked about it, and people want to sit back and watch what happens. You ain't gonna make money unless you're making deals.
Mm.
You just got to get out there and talk to people, and that's where the opportunity is. Just talking and letting people know what you're doing, and the more people that know what you're doing, the more money you'll make.
Awesome. And Pip, you got to let us know about Let's Do It. What's the line about Let's Do It?
Do it.
Yeah, let's do it. What Nike? What about Nike?
Well, yeah.
Just do it.
How much
Just do
money
it.
you made? How many deals you made just thinking about it? Okay. Yeah, you can't just think about it.
That's right.
How much money you made on the deals you haven't done? The answer is always going to be zero. That's for sure.
Right.
Nothing ventured,
Awesome.
nothing gained. You know what I really like about having Sam and Anita on is all my Canadians think I sound Southern, and I don't even come close to these two guys. It's like they're like a whole nother world away down there. So anyway,
We don't talk funny, y'all do.
I don't think I talk funny at all. They think I talk funny, and I'm like, I'm not even Southern. I'm country Southern, but anyway. So Sam and I were talking I don't know, just about a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, wearing suits and stuff. And when I hear Sam talk, I just assume he's wearing cowboy boots. I just assume it. I mean, I can't assume that. I can't even assume anything else. But anyway,
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Pep, any final words, buddy?
What did you say, Sam?
Sorry, Sam.
I just said I wear boots every day.
I don't have a lot more to add. If you want to get in touch with these guys, send me an email. I'm having a little problems with email today. I think I'm having issues receiving email because of something going on with the server change. So if you get an undeliverable, send it again tomorrow, or send it to me just on pipstellic@gmail.com. That's an easy one. I don't think I'm having any issues there. But the Pips Path email is definitely messed up right now. Hopefully, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Tomorrow, that will be better. We're switching servers. I don't even know what that means. I'm guessing we got a new tennis player coming in or volleyball player to serve no, I'm just kidding. Either way, don't forget next Wednesday night, the wealth debate again. We'll bring Sam and Anita on another time, probably not next Wednesday night. And look forward to seeing everybody. And for my Canadians, I hope they let you out of your houses soon.
Yeah, really. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Sam and Anita. And I would love to, in future, soon, have a discussion about couples and being investors and how that works. I think that's wonderful. We had Ron and Jean on a couple weeks ago. I think it'd be nice to have a few of you together to talk about some of the challenges of being partners in life and partners in investing and how that dynamic works. I'm sure you'd have some great stories to share with that, but we need to do that. Definitely, Pep, is bring a few of our couples on, very successful investors, and because that's something that I envy you. I really do. That's wonderful that you're a team and you do this together. It's awesome. Really a testament to the strength of the relationship, I would say, when you're able to maintain the relationship between you and there's money involved.
There's an old saying that says a couple that can go through a renovation together can last forever. So.
There you go. I think more than a renovation together. I mean, that's some. I'm sure we're going to get some awesome stories. So thank you very much for both of you being with us, and we will bring you back soon. Thank you, everybody out there joining us. There's going to be a recording of it. It's going to be on YouTube. Watch it, and we will see everyone next Wednesday. Thank you very much for joining us on the Wealth Debate.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.